So here we are again, 3 a.m. And in tonight's topic, we're going to discuss the one game that has made it to every platform in pretty much existence, Resident Evil 4.
Resident Evil 4.
I won't lie, I really question using that intro because of how long and drug out it might be. Most people already clicked off by now, but besides that, let's get into the topic. RE4 is really one of those games that everybody has seen. Whether it was you going to a cousin's house, a friend's house, or you having it yourself, it's just one of those games that you see it, and even if you don't know the name, you have seen the gameplay and are familiar with the game. Even though it was only supposed to be a GameCube exclusive at the time, Capcom sold off pretty quick and ended that deal. Then it made it onto the console that I started playing it on. Also, one of my first consoles, not the first, but one of the first, the PlayStation 2, which is where the intros derive from if you couldn't tell and are not old enough, I suppose. I have bought this game on 4 different consoles at this point, and really wish Capcom would just stop pumping it out on newer generation consoles so I can stop buying it. Because admittedly, I can't stop. I see it for sale, it's remastered for the 17th time, I still gotta have it. Now, in my opinion, one of the main reasons that this game caught so much traction at the time that it did is purely because of when it was released. 2005 was a really weird year, and the times before that, I mean, there were amazing games that were coming out, but none that had the third-person over-the-shoulder style shooter aspect to them that did it effectively. This game has just enough horror to make it a Resident Evil game, but just enough action to make it, well, an action shoot-'em-up style game, almost like an arcade style game. It drew in a big crowd because you didn't necessarily have to be into horror-themed things to enjoy it. If you just wanted to run about and gun people up with a few scare factors here and there and didn't mind that, I mean, this game worked great. The combat was really cool for the time, and is still now. I mean, a lot of people say that the controls are, well, shitty, which they are, very. But once again, that's kind of where we step into the nostalgia factor of this game. This game just has so many fond memories in my head and a lot of other people's head of just sitting down and relaxing after school back in the mid-2000s and reliving it through playing it even remastered and having those clunky, messy, really anger-moving controls is just something that adds to that mystery, I suppose. I feel like when other people try to describe Resident Evil 4, a lot of the feelings that come from it and why it's still so sought after and pisses off a lot of the Resident Evil community is because people have latched on to the nostalgia that is linked to this game. This game didn't try to take itself seriously like the prior 5 entries, my apologies, I forgot about 0 because everybody does. This game did not try to take itself seriously, like, not at all. I mean, you started in a rural village in Spain and moved on into a castle, an island, and you escaped on a jet ski. Alright, there's nothing about this game that is supposed to be serious. It's not supposed to be in your face, like, over-the-top horror, like the prior 3 games that tried to be. The weird thing about RE4 is that the hate that it gets is almost equivalent to the amount of like that it has and the love that it has from the community. but you don't really see it as much unless you're in one of those weird boomer Facebook pages. Like, I shit you not, the amount of criticism that you'll get from some people saying that RE4 is your favorite game out of the series is unmatched. You are like Satan to these people. I personally started out on Resident Evil 2, and then went to Resident Evil 1, and then to 3. And I have to say that 4 is likely my favorite in the series, if not 3. But oh, that does not matter, like at all, because I will still receive that hatred, because it's not one of the original 3 that meets my top category. Getting back on the topic, after that little rant about the boomers and the Resident Evil community, this is just one of those games that I can sit down at any point on my PC or Xbox or whatever it is that I might have on hand when I'm traveling, whatever, and I can just play and play and play and have fun. It's one of those games that just does not get old, and it seems to be a common thing amongst the community. It's just one of those games that repetition doesn't exist. There's truthfully not a lot to dislike about this game when it comes down to it. I mean, level design, many weapons to choose from, that amazing cachet case that for some reason is unmatched when you compare it to other inventory systems in the Resident Evil franchise. I mean, before this, it was a pretty predictable series, at least from the last few that were designed. You had a few enemies here and there that were new and creative, but you always had like a tyrant stalking you, and at least with Resident Evil 3, we had the form factor where Nemesis evolved into something else. But RE4 had like numerous bigger bosses in the game instead of having one tyrant that follows you everywhere. That's not me shitting on the older games, because I do truly enjoy playing RE2, 3, 1, all of them. It's just that this was like a breath of fresh air for the series, and it helped it get somewhere. Granted, that somewhere was 5 and 6, which are despisable, but now look, we're on to 7 and 8, and in my opinion, it's really evolutionary that we've come to this point in the series. Yes, I'm not the biggest fan of first person, but the story and the action and the gunplay mechanics are pretty nice now, I'm not gonna lie. And plus, without RE4 and the evolution of the series, who would have known where Capcom was gonna go with it? It might be obsolete by now if it didn't catch traction. We would not have Miss Thick Vampire Chick, you know? It was a very big step for Capcom to release something like this, just due to how different it was compared to the rest of the series. And I truly think that's why RE7 was the way that it was, is Capcom looked back and saw that RE4 was basically completely solar opposite of all the previous games, and they saw that 5 and 6 were, well, they didn't get good ratings per se. And they're like, okay, well, it's time to take a big step again, that risk, and see where we land. And RE7 was a big hit. I mean, obviously it got hatred for its, first person and all that type of stuff. And then RE8, dude. RE8 was amazing. Truly my favorite game that's come out in the last 2 years. I think the true point of this video is that nostalgia doesn't necessarily have to be liked. It doesn't have to be a topic that you personally like, but a memory of the past that just resembles a certain point in your life that you were happy, or something that brought you happiness. The topic itself doesn't need to be a happy topic. You can appreciate this game because, well, like myself, it was my generation, but even if it wasn't your generation, you were around it, it was a big thing, and still kinda is. I mean, they're looking at remastering it. It's one of those things that you just love it or hate it, you will never forget it. I don't know if it's just a me thing, but I like to think of nostalgia as autumn. For some reason, it never gets old. It's the one time of year I look forward to, and I think that's probably the main reason. I feel like you could probably feel the same way about any of the seasons, but it comes around, right? And everything that I expected, everything that I remembered happens again. It's a very crude, detailed way to think about it, I suppose, but it's like the simplest way I could. I remember the trees, the lakes having their first freeze. I just remember everything about autumn and all the joy that it brings me, because I have so many fond memories with family that's gone now, and friends that are gone now. it's just one of those times a year where I get those nostalgic feelings, and it really hits hard. I don't know. Nostalgia for me is one of those feelings that it's one of the very few things that can make me tear up sometimes. Before I end this video, I just want to give a huge thank you to everybody that viewed the Evertale video and left those really positive comments. I got 100 subs on my first video and it's like 6K or more views, which is something that I did not expect to happen. And I'm really not in this to make money. Like, I have a real life job and I have no need. This is just a way for me to express opinions on things and basically be allowed to open up to, well, a group of people that, yes, they can throw judgment, but they cannot affect my real life, scenarios and stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was so cool to hit 100K, not 100K, fuck dude, that would be really cool, but it would be so cool to get 100 subs, like, damn dude. Off of one video, I never expected that, especially with how flooded this environment is with content. This video likely won't get as much because, well, this topic's kind of been gone over quite a bit, and it's not something that's new. I guess the remastered RE4 is, a topic that could draw in people, but like I said, I'm not really in it for financial reasons, so I have no reason to make videos catered towards whatever's popular at the time, which I think is nice because I don't have to sit there and stress and talk about stuff that I don't want to. But nonetheless, I really appreciate it, and if you made it this long, I once again just appreciate it. It kind of left me speechless to look at those statistics and see all the nice comments and everything. I don't think they'll ever stay like that, but it was nice for a first video. You guys all chill out and have a good day.